Okay, hey y'all. It is Friday evening and this is probably the beginning of a long video. It's gonna have to happen in snippets. So I'm going to make my own mold. One moment. So I have been making trays like this. Pretty dope. Poured on top of wood. And I love it, actually, I do, because it uses less resin, and it's a little bit, lighter. But I do want to make some sturdier Africa trays, 100% resin. I mean, not to say these aren't sturdy, because these are pretty sturdy, but I want more hefty African trays, and I kind of want to be able to keep the resin in. I'm sure there's ways around that with the wood, but this particular tray that I'm making is for a very special client. So I want to make a solid resin Africa mold. So I've decided to make my own. Now, how I did it, I didn't record me putting the pieces together, so I'll put a picture to kind of show you what I'm talking about. But I found the outline of Africa on Google, just did a search. I think I already had one saved, and I inserted it into Excel, and then just made it big, and then I printed it out because it prints out on different pages. It took me about 3 tries to get it the right size that I wanted it, because it kind of came out too big, then it was too small, then it was just right, like 3 little bears. So I'll insert a picture here. So that's how I just kind of tape the pieces together. It's fairly straightforward. I Googled how to do it, and because I have a Mac, so one, I don't really have Excel, but thankfully my work computer does, and I did it in Excel on my work computer, and then I just emailed it to myself. And so you could probably do it in numbers too, because that's what it came up in, number 1. But it was a lot better in numbers on the Mac, because when it brought it up on the page, it showed you what pieces were on which piece of paper. And so it kind of brought everything together visually for me. So I love that. So if you don't have a Mac, I'm sure there's a way that you can do it in Excel, but I don't know. It came up that way for me, so I don't know. So anyway, so now I'm to the point to where I have cleaned off one of my silicone mats, and I am going to use that as the base. And I have my map of Africa under it. So I'm going to adjust so you guys can see that there. Yeah. And so basically what I'm going to do is I have some silicone that I got from Home Depot. This is just window and door silicone, 100% waterproof, freeze and sunproof, silicone. So I am going to use the silicone to draw the outline. Now, I'm 100% sure this is not going to be perfect, but it's okay. I don't necessarily need it to be 100% perfect. I just need to fairly follow the lines. And thankfully, the picture that I chose had thick lines and easy to follow, that I can see this under here. So I am going to...
Okay, so after I get my silicone working, I begin to outline the shape in silicone. I think totally I did 3 layers, what you'll see. I kind of sped this up so you didn't have to see me making all the weird sounds that I made throughout this video. One thing I wish that I would have done is maybe cut the tip of the silicone a little bit further down so that my bead would have been thicker. And I think I would have needed less layers had I done that. One other thing that I'd like to share is please wait until the silicone is dry before you start to mess with it. I think I left it for about 20 or 30 minutes and then it wasn't sticky anymore. And then I got some dish soap water and kind of smoothed out the edges a little bit so they weren't as rough. And at the very end, I took my hot glue gun and went around the outline on the outside to help prevent any further leaks.
Hey guys, happy Saturday. Okay, so excuse, um, it's not a good day. I'm running on like -3 spoons, but one of the good things that I like about resin and pouring is that it really doesn't take a whole lot of time out of my day. And so I gotta let it rest. So when I finish doing all that I have on this table, I can go and lay down, maybe until later today. Hopefully I'll feel better. But, so anyways, I have already mixed up, my resin. I am using, Counterculture DIY, medium viscosity. This is my first purchase with them, and so far I actually really like it. So bubbles, you know, bubbles are bubbles. And also I am not heating things up ahead of time. I keep saying I'm going to, and then I don't. But I'm letting it rest for a few minutes, and I'm like actually watching the bubbles pop right now in there. I think I poured way too much resin for what I have planned today. But you know, I will pull out, I have some extra crystal molds and things over there that just in case if I need to. So anyways, what I have on my table is something that I hope works. I have a few things on my table, so there you guys go. So I made my own Africa tray mold. You know, I wanted it a little bit bigger. I used silicone, as you can see, it's still over here. This is a silicone mat. I kind of wish maybe I would have brought something a little sturdier. I thought about that today, but I didn't find it, so that's fine. Where I went to Michael's this morning. So anyways, I had the outline under here. I've taken it from under here. And then I went around the edges with hot glue last night. So hopefully there's not going to be any leaks. We'll see. This morning I went on the search for the perfect green and red. This piece, I have a nice black already. It's an acrylic ink, and I love, like, it's like a solid deep black. So I love that about it. So I went to Michael's and I got some aqua ink. It's watercolor ink. I was actually looking for more acrylic ink. I don't know if it's the same thing or not. I'm gonna be real honest with you. I don't know. But I found this color. It's called Mint, and I found a carmine red, and I just feel like, I'm not sure about that red though. I don't know. So I'm not pouring that piece of this today, but I am going to try these out in some earring molds over here just to make sure that these are the right colors. And then I also found some other stuff, of course. I found a magenta that I love, a violet, and a dark ultramarine, which is blue. And a petrol. So I have a couple of things out here. I'm gonna maybe try to treat these like alcohol inks. I don't know if that's gonna work, but a couple of the earring molds, I'm gonna try that out. I'm gonna see if I can just like drop it. I have some droppers here that I'm gonna use, because I don't think these have droppers inside. I could be wrong. I haven't opened them. Maybe I should do that. They do not. So I'm gonna like drop some colors, and then I have my white acrylic ink. Again, it's not alcohol ink, but hey, we're all about experiments here today, and hopefully things will cure. As far as this big piece goes, I am going to pour a really small, or not small, a thin layer of just black, because I want to put a quote on the back, and I'm going to use gold vinyl, so I want like a solid black background to that, to the quote. So that is all I'm doing today. I don't want to let the resin rest too long, because I don't want to feel rushed in it. So I'm going to take probably that amount. And then this is just going to be black. I do have, a couple of pyramids over here that I need to maybe top off. I think I need to do a wine stopper for this smaller pyramid. I did my last, I don't know, can you see this pyramid? I did what I thought was my last layer of that pyramid yesterday, but it seems to not really be curing right, or it's still sticky, or apply like in the stopper is movable within it. So I'm gonna pour like another small, I mean, it's gonna have to be like super small layer in there. And I used a different resin last night because I just had a little bit of Pro-Marine left. I still do. I was trying to use it up, and I only needed a little bit just to kind of top that off. And I've never had problems with Pro-Marine, but I don't know, maybe something about last night. Who knows? But so there is the black.
Okay, so I'm getting started with the first layer of this mold, and my plan was to pour just a solid black first layer because I was putting a quote on the back of the tray in gold, and I wanted it to have a solid background instead of the red, black, and green that was going to be on top. Lesson learned during this pour is if you're going to use a silicone mat, maybe have a more firm silicone mat. This flexible mat had a couple of bubbles in it from the first time that I used it. And I don't know if I used it upside down or if it got stuck to something. I can't remember what the issue was, but there were some bubbles and wrinkles in the mat that 100% showed up in my pour. Now it was fixable, but it of course caused me to have to pour more layers on the back than I had originally planned. And you'll see as this goes along, you'll see where the resin starts to separate where those two bubbles were, especially when I start to use the torch. You'll see the silicone mat through that. And I cut out a lot of this pour because the rest of the pour went just terribly wrong. It was a bad day. As I said earlier, I probably shouldn't have poured that day. But I had to keep working with those spots where the bubbles kept coming through. I waited for the resin to get a little bit harder, and then I poured it, and it stayed in place, and I thought it fixed it. But of course, when I finally demolded it all together, you could see the dips in it, and so I had to pour on top of it to fix it. So you'll see that later, where I tried to fix that, or I did fix it, but it just wasn't ideal.
Hello, I'm back to a mess of a table. feeling a little better, but I was also restless. I was in the process of taking a nap earlier and like getting ready to get into an amazing nap. And then my son called and I couldn't go back to sleep. So that was the end of that. So I've been just kind of laying, watching TV, whatever, since. And so I just decided to get up and do some things. So my Africa looks pretty good. I'll show you that in a minute. I'm gonna maybe demold some of these earrings. One of them was a horrible fail.
Okay, so I didn't show you it later. I don't know what happened that day as to why I didn't show you what it looked like. But here it is, right before I am going to pour the red, black, and green on top. I used, I think I talk a little bit about this on the reds. I had to go find the perfect red and the perfect green. So I used some acrylic ink for the red that I found, and it was perfect. I used acrylic ink for the black because I like how deep it gets, and I found a aqua ink that I used for the green. It was called Mint. I couldn't find the green that I wanted in the acrylic ink, but I did find this aqua ink. I think I found that at Michael's, but the acrylic inks I found at Hobby Lobby, and I really like how solid and clear the resin comes out with the acrylic inks. I love mica powders and I love alcohol inks, but sometimes you don't necessarily want like a shimmery feel. And for this project, I really wanted it to be very solid and very deep. And I think I achieved that here. And with the black background already, it kind of deepened those colors a little bit more than expected, especially for the green, but I actually like how it ended up.
Alrighty. Gonna demold this. Well, there goes the super glue. That worked in some areas and not in others. Guess I'll take all of that out. Alright, so it over poured there. on using this mold again, but it doesn't look like I'll be able to, which is fine. I guess I'll make another one. Happening there. Static clean. Sure. Okay. There's that. Definitely need some cleanup on those edges. Poking myself. That's the back. You can see where those dips were. So we'll definitely want to do a clear coat to fill those in on the back so the back is flat. But it's pretty thick. It's pretty good. Pretty good. So I will be today working on a little cleanup, adding the quote back here, and then doing the flood coat on the back. That is the plan today. But I like the, I don't know, the roughness of this. Just, you know, I want to make sure it's not going to cut anyone. But I do like that kind of ruggedness of it. Alrighty, so there we are. I'm proud. So this is the next day, and I am beginning to make what I thought were going to be the coasters to go along with this set. I didn't end up liking them for this tray. I like them overall. They were just not a match for this tray. So I was trying to show you the colors. I know I sped this up really fast. So I had some fine gold glitter is what I used. I also had some acrylic ink in pearlescent green that I also mixed with the mint aqua ink. I was trying to get like a deeper green with a little shimmer. That was my plan. It didn't quite work out that way. I mean, no, okay, that's wrong. It did work out that way. I just didn't like it with this particular tray. I started out with the gold flakes in the middle. The goal for the coasters were to coordinate but not be too matchy-matchy. So that was my initial thought process, and then after they came out, I just realized that it wasn't the fit, and I posted them to my site for someone who might like them better. And I think I made a video of the actual coasters I made. I hope so. If I did, you'll see it in here. So here I'm putting the top layer
On the back, I've already put down my vinyl. I use permanent vinyl. In an effort to save a little time, I did not put a clear coat to fill in those divots before I put the vinyl down. I tried to do that all in one step, and it came out okay. There was a little piece of the quote that looked like it was magnified a little bit because it got down into one of those divots that the silicone mat made. But overall, it came out really good. I ended up having to start this project all the way over because a little bit after this point, I realized there was a typo in the quote, and I could not send it out like that. So I actually completed the tray on a wood cutout, on a smaller wood cutout. It really wasn't what I had originally planned, but I had to improvise at the last minute. Some things I learned about doing that tray. I had ran out of the permanent vinyl in gold. It didn't have enough to fully do the quote. So I used heat transfer vinyl, and it was okay, but I guess I did not heat it up enough for it to stick and adhere after I poured the top coat on. So I had a couple of floating pieces of letters. I guess I kept burning my fingers trying to figure that piece out with the heat gun. I lost my little scraper thing, so that was part of the reason why I just couldn't figure it out. But in the end, it came together pretty well, and I have some pictures. And the pictures aren't the greatest because the back is so shiny and glossy. The reflection is picking up everything everywhere, and I couldn't figure it out before I needed to get it boxed up and shipped out in the morning. So this is just me finishing up my coasters, and I had some leftover resin, so I used the same resin from the coasters and poured a pyramid that I was going to use for a wine stopper, or that I did use for a wine stopper, actually as part of this package as well. It came out really good. I liked it was the mixed colors. It started out with the gold flakes at the tip, and then mixed with the green, and the glitter, and it came out really pretty. I'll put some pictures as well. So here are the coasters that I actually sent out, along with the wine stoppers that went. And this is the actual tray that I finally sent out. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.